French spelling sucks. We all know this already. It's inconsistent, it's unpredictable, at times it's ugly, at others it's just ridiculous. And the number one offender? Silent graphemes. Every other letter and accent and verb ending is just completely silent. It's there in the spelling, but you don't say it. Jacques is actually Jacques. This thingy over the E in être does nothing. Most letters at the end of words are just there for show. I mean, take il joue, he plays, and ils jouent, they play. It's said the exact same way, but the plural version here has extra stuff added onto the end. Why write ils jouent? Why, French? Why? That S means nothing. Except that's not entirely true. Let's take a different verb. Take aimer, meaning to like or to love in some contexts. When we compare he likes with they like, unlike with the earlier jouer example, we get a difference in pronunciation. Il aime versus ils aiment. The final letter now gets pronounced. Why? It isn't random, it's to do with whether or not the verb starts with a vowel. Hence, ils font, but ils ont. Écoutent, but ils écoutent. If il were to be spelt the way it's pronounced, it would have to have different spellings depending on the word after it. Instead of going this route, we have a consistent spelling with a rule about pronunciation that follows from it. Thus, the silent letter appears. I know this all sounds very scary, and I'm sorry to say, I can't protect you from French. Unfortunately for you francophobes, humanity is yet to produce an easy-to-use, affordable, and comprehensive software for such a task, but fortunately for you internet lovers, when it comes to internet safety, that's another matter. The thing is, when we were younger, our parents told us never to put our name or email on the internet, sign up for anything that is not 100% official, and never, ever click on links, especially not in random emails. But the internet has changed. Cyber attacks have become more advanced, and I mean, I know it can be dangerous, but I like signing up for stuff. In order to protect myself and my data, I therefore use NordVPN. Its threat protection can shield you from malware, trackers, and ads, and make sure you don't become the victim of common cybersecurity threats like man-in-the-middle attacks, password attacks, malvertising, or ransomware. And meanwhile, the dark web monitor can notify you if someone has leaked your credentials. As well as this, NordVPN doesn't just protect you and your data, it also allows you to access your favorite content all around the world, no matter where you are, by allowing you to change your location to be in over 50 countries. If you also want to stay safe with the fastest VPN on the planet, you can get your exclusive NordVPN deal using my link in the description box below. Sign up now and get 4 extra bonus months to your package with a 30-day money-back guarantee for all users. Thank you so much for NordVPN to sponsoring this video, and let's get back into it. Changing the spelling of a word based on the word it precedes is, of course, not unheard of. English does just this. In English, there's a weird little word which suddenly gets a sound added to it if the next word begins with a vowel. A banana we say, but an apple. And we spell this morpheme 2 different ways to reflect this. We don't just leave a silent N in for a banana. So couldn't French do the same thing? No, in my opinion this would be very impractical. If il was the only word which acted this way, then sure, it could be treated like a and an, given 2 spellings, but it's really just a tiny example of a feature which pervades the entire language. Liaison. Liaison is a feature of the French language where a phoneme which used to exist at the end of a word has disappeared from the language, but reappears when the following word starts with a vowel or semivowel. Some liaisons are compulsory, others vary from region to region, others from person to person, or even conversation to conversation. But they all follow this underlying phonological rule. The silent final letter of one word is essentially moved onto the beginning of the following word. Thus, les bleus for les yeux bleus. Complicated, stupid, but weirdly graceful, which is a pretty good way of summing up the entire French language actually, come to think of it. This isn't the only use for these silent letters either. Ignoring liaison for a moment, let's take a look at adjectives. In French, adjectives have to agree with the noun they describe, along 2 axes, number and gender. Let's hone in on the gender distinction between the masculine and feminine aligned versions of an adjective. The word vert means green, and though it doesn't appear in speech, in writing there's a T. When this adjective agrees with a feminine noun, however, that T is pronounced, indicated in the orthography by the addition of an E. Verte. So we could say that phonologically the feminine can be derived from the masculine by adding a T. Except that really only works for this one adjective. There are a number of different consonant sounds that could mark the difference between a masculine and feminine form of an adjective. Mauvais becomes mauvaise. Chaud becomes should, and so on. If these were written phonetically, then you could see the masculine form of any adjective and you'd have no idea how to form the feminine. But since ver already has that T on the end of it, you know now how to pronounce it in all circumstances. Something which can come in handy for children and learners or for strange and unusual words in a text. And when it comes to that pointy hat over être, sure, it's kind of weird that it's there, it doesn't change the sound of the word in any way, but, well, the spelling of this word could be much worse. And we know because it was up until the 18th century. Although it had long been pronounced without such a sound, it used to be written with an S, because of its origin in Old French estre. That circumflex accent often indicates where such a letter was lost, which may be weird, but at least having a bunch of silent letters in the middle of words has been left largely in the past. Now that's all well and good, but don't get ahead of yourself. French orthography is still terrible. Not just because they replaced random silent letters with random silent accents. No. All through this video I have massively overstated the case of French spelling being the way it is. Though liaison is an important phonological feature of the language and it makes sense to write it in some way in the orthography, there are many environments and specific words that cannot form a liaison. In these cases, the silent letter is just a red herring intended to maliciously confuse learners. It's not je peux aller, it's je peux aller, but the X is still written. Liaison also doesn't occur in front of certain words, like in des héros, not des héros, and these words are marked with an H. Great, in and of itself silent, but showing that liaison cannot occur. But then there's words with a silent H, and by silent I mean super silent, because some of these H's just act like they're not there, like in les hommes, the men. As for the adjectives, every second one is irregular anyway in French. Sure, it helps to some degree, but let's not forget that the feminine of beau is belle, and here, and in many other cases, there is no way to figure out the other one if you only see the one. No, overall, French spelling is much like English spelling. A frustrating mess. There are semblances of rules scattered around here and there, but there are always exceptions constantly in any everyday passage you want to read. But quite fun in its own way. Take the circumflex or the silent letters. You are essentially looking back in time when you read. These words carry their histories with them in a way that words from more sensibly written languages simply don't. And yeah, it still sucks, but there's something to that, isn't there? There's some value in it, right?